What else is new, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a big week coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turquoise and I are getting new headshots tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I guess we're gonna do a team photo.
Titan stuff.
What? What'd you say?
I said exciting stuff, but you froze and you
Oh.
froze.
Oh, now you're frozen.
You are too.
What's that? You froze too.
Here, hold on.
You're frozen. Uh-oh. You're frozen now. Come in, Rangoon. Come in, Rangoon. Are you there? No, you're
I'm here.
okay. All right. And then Thursday night is the Roosevelt Gala, which I'm going to with a
Oh, I
panel.
thought you weren't gonna go.
Huh?
I thought you weren't going.
Well, I wasn't going to go, but then I've got so many years invested in that organization. I thought I would go. It's a Marshall Bennett Institute of Real Estate. Marshall Bennett has since passed away, but it's a wonderful guy. And I probably was, oh my gosh. It's like unbelievable. It's like everybody knows I'm getting onto a Zoom call or something. I literally in the last 10 minutes, I probably have had 6 texts, and
You probably need to put it in another room.
I need to put it in another room, and
It's
5
not them, it's you.
but I mean, I could sit here all morning with nothing, and anyway, whatever. And I've got it on mute now, so.
You're still looking at it.
So anyway, so yeah, so the gala is Thursday night, and
Is
they're
Bob going?
no, I'm going with a friend who used to be on the board with me. We used to work together on the board. She owns a Service Master franchise up in Evanston,
Mhm.
and she's a great resource actually in case you ever need any issues with water or roofing or any of that kind of stuff. She does all that stuff. Clean up from flooding, mold. If you have mold issues, she's a great resource. She actually wrote a book. I've got a book here from her.
Yeah, you showed it before.
Did I? Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Everybody's gonna think this is a rerun.
Nobody's gonna think it's a rerun. Anyway, yeah, complete guide to protecting your home as your most valuable asset from water and fire disasters. So, and she's got all kinds of great tips in here. So anyway, it's a great little book. Nasucha is her name. She and I used to be on the board together.
I know.
Her husband is Sam Simon. They own the did we ever have her on? Did we ever interview her? I don't think
No,
we
you talked about it, but we didn't.
yeah, we should do that. I'll talk to her when I see her Thursday night. Anyway, so, and then Friday we go away. We're going away. So I need to.
For good?
I'm gonna take me away, no. We're going. We're
Finally happening.
It's finally happening. We're just ducking up to Sheboygan for kind of a long weekend. We leave Friday. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'll be back Wednesday. So you guys need to cover for me.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we are collecting coats and winter gear, the office, for the poor migrants who are without tents because they just can't handle the influx. And I actually had a thought this morning. When I go to the gala on Thursday, I was thinking I should talk to maybe some of my colleagues there about building tiny homes, because I think tiny homes could be a great um, solution for housing for these people.
Mhm.
And I think that the administration would probably be a little bit more open to the concept than they have been in the past. Well, like with the ADUs, remember we've had many conversations about the ADUs,
Yeah,
you and and I think tiny homes is kind of an adjunct to that. So it's just a matter of, getting the zoning and the permits and all that. But there was an article in the Tribune this morning, interestingly, that there's a Chicago affordable housing program that will subsidize rents, and the migrants are able to, well, they seem to be able to get jobs for them, which is interesting. A lot of them are working in construction and restaurant jobs, of course, because the restaurants are so desperately in need of
right.
workers.
Yeah,
So they're able to fill those jobs, and I mean, a lot of those jobs aren't even a living wage, sadly, but they are able to get work, and then they can take those, show that they have a job, and they can get these rental subsidies. And there's a fella that I actually met a couple of years ago through one of my clients, who they mentioned him in the paper this morning. I was going to cut it out and mail it to him. He's doing a lot of these, putting the migrants into some of his apartments, and he gets the subsidies from this Chicago affordable housing program. They subsidize the rent, and he's getting his apartments filled, and the migrants are getting a place to live, and it's a great thing. So,
yeah, that's cool.
right? Yeah. Yeah. So kind of, yeah. And I understand that Denver and New York are undergoing some of the same issues with trying to handle the number of migrants. And I mean, what's going on in Venezuela and whatnot, it's really sad that these people have to leave their home. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing the drive at your building as well as at our office too, right?
Well, I'm doing the drive at the building, and I'm going to bring them into the office. Whatever I collect here, I'll take, because Kathleen is, she's taking the stuff. I don't know where she's taking it exactly. Do you? I mean, I think there's places all over the city that are collecting coats and winter wear. I mean, because I mean, so what I saw in the paper, first of all, what happens is they get here, of course, they get shipped up by bus from Texas, and they're coming up from Mexico, where it's 90, 80, 90 degrees, and they end
Right.
up on our doorstep, and it's 40, 50 degrees out, and of course, they're not acclimated to it, and it's really a hardship for them, and they can't they don't have any place indoors. They don't have enough tents for them. So it's really kind of a crisis situation. They usually have to wait a couple of weeks before they can get a tent. And in the meantime, they're in shorts and t-shirts and, trying to cope with our winter weather. So the clothes are desperately needed. And it's a good reason to go through and collect hats and gloves and scarves and sweaters and anything. Coats, whatever that we can empty out. One of the fellows on our board said he's lost over 40 pounds. He's got a whole wardrobe. I think, which I think he's going to do.
Well,
Yeah. So good for him, right? That he's been able to lose that much weight and keep it off, and has a new wardrobe. So good for him.
so I'm just curious how your building decided to do it for the refugees. I mean, it's pretty common for all the condo buildings to do the winter coat drive. I just wondered how if like politically, if it was more difficult to do to do it for the refugees or not.
No, I mean, well, first of all, our building is very, we're very woke. Our building's very woke, and and I think basically it was just a matter of, I just offered to do it, and they all thought it was great, and I think,
Oh, so it was you. That's good. Okay.
yeah, it was me, it's all me, and so I don't know. I've got a couple of boxes down by the mailbox to collect stuff, and we'll see what we get. So I know that the Broadway Armory, I think, is actually housing migrants over there at the Armory, and I'm sure they probably have some kind of a collection thing too, or I suppose any of the aldermen's offices or any police station. If you have things you want to donate, you can take to them. I'm sure they'll accept those. We go by the police station on Addison, like just west of Halsted, that police station on Addison, just west of Halsted. And the whole front of the station and in back and the whole station, they've got their tents pitched. It's really something.
Yeah, all the stations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I most often go the one on Larrabee, just south
Mhm.
of Division, and yeah, same. It's packed. You know, all
Yeah.
the ones are
Packed.
packed. Yeah.
So, and I mean, on the
And I
one
don't know
hand,
how much of the tents that are set up along the drive. I don't know how much of them are refugees or just.
I have a feeling that a lot of those, because there's like a whole, like, kind of almost what I'd call a Hooverville
Yeah.
set up up in the park, and I mean, it's really becoming a real. It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, and my dad was in the Navy, and we were stationed in Panama City, and there was a section of Panama City that was called Little Hollywood, and when military would move in to the bases, this is back in the days when the Canal Zone was still run by the Americans, the locals would come and ask for your packing boxes, the big cardboard boxes, because people would use those as for homes, for housing, down in this section of Panama City called Little Hollywood.
Yeah.
There was no running water or any plumbing or anything. It was just a section where people put together their cardboard boxes and created housing for themselves. And I mean, that's what's happening to our city, actually. I mean, it's unbelievable. But what are you going to do?
Of course, I think it's been happening for quite a while. It's just more visible right now, bigger and more visible right now. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, on the one hand, you can get upset with the Texas governor, why are you shipping all these people up to, type of thing. But on the other hand, it is a national problem. It's a federal problem. It shouldn't be a state or even a city issue. It should be a federal issue, really, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm proud though that we're doing what we're doing though, very much.
right. I agree. I mean, these people, we can't even imagine the circumstances that they're. I mean, can you imagine how bad it would be to have to flee your home? I just.
No idea.
Right. And what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in the Middle East now, it's like really sad. But this is the good stuff. We're not talking about the bad stuff. We're talking about the good stuff. And
the good stuff is Chicago is stepping up. So very proud.
Yeah. So what do you got going on? What's new with you?
I guess it's the weekly alert.
What's a weekly alert?
The broadcast. You don't hear the sound, the broadcast system.
I thought that was always Tuesdays at 10. Have they changed it?
No, that's the you're talking about that's the siren. I'm talking about on the TV.
Oh, I don't know nothing about that. I never have I don't have my TV on during the day.
Well, Stump's here. He's in the other room.
Oh, okay.
He's
By the
working.
way, we started
from home.
watching Ted Lasso last night.
Oh, you did?
I did. I have to say I do, the first episode, the pilot episode honestly seemed kind of dopey, but I admit I do like it.
Yeah, it'll get better and better. You'll love it. Yeah.
No, I am liking it, and how he's making the little treats to bring to the woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for him. So,
Yeah, it's talk about the good stuff. That's a show that's based on the good stuff. It's really life affirming and fun and joyful, and yeah, it's really a great show. Yeah.
so, all right. Well,
How far are you? Just 2 episodes now?
2 or 3 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on. Yeah, something like that. We're just getting started. Are there
Yeah.
2 seasons? How many seasons are there?
I think it's 3. Yeah, 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, I've only got my Apple TV for 90 days, so
Well, hurry up.
I have to hurry up. Got to binge watch them. Well, I found out we were watching Lincoln Lawyer, and there's only 2 seasons of Lincoln Lawyer, which I didn't realize. So we finished that. And then we started watching the new Bosch, the Bosch Legacy, because we like those kind of
Yeah,
Michael Connelly, his stories. We like his story.
yeah,
Although I read his novel, the original novel that they based the original Bosch series on. And all that happens in Vietnam, and they've got it happening in Afghanistan, I suppose, because they feel like the audience understands Afghanistan. They don't know, they wouldn't understand Vietnam, but
well, it's also I think the time period would be off then.
well, exactly. I didn't understand why they have him in Afghanistan. Because they're talking about this last episode, they're talking about these Vietnam vets, and the storyline revolves around Vietnam vets, and yet they're talking about him learning like waterboarding techniques in Afghanistan and stuff like that, which he then uses to get his daughter. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I just didn't understand why they changed the timeline from the original book. And I have to say that book.
I'm just assuming it's because they're making it in modern day time frame, right?
Yeah, I suppose he would be, if in the TV show, if he had served in Vietnam, he'd be too old.
Right. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, I think it's too, unless they said it, 30 years ago or whatever, everything would be. Yeah. So they're either said it in today and change the war, or they said it in time period 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Keep the Vietnam thing.
But I do have to say that novel that the series was based on, I think it's called the Black Hole, or I don't remember what it's called, but it is pretty dark. It's I mean, they really kind of softened it up for TV, which
Yeah.
probably. But I think Michael Connelly actually did serve in Vietnam, and I think some of it's autobiographical.
Well, Killers of the Flower Moon opened on Friday.
Oh yeah. Our book group has been. We read it for our book group, and I wouldn't say I would. Hey, this is supposed to be good stuff, but
I think it is good stuff. I'm excited about it. Because I think I really hope the movie is huge, which it looks like it's gonna be, because I want that story out there. I want people to know, the story. It's just
that was his goal. It was really, anyway, our book group read it, and it was my selection. With the way our book group works is you bring a few options, and then the group selects one of the options. And so it was one of my options at your recommendation, I might add. So thank you for that. Yep. And so what our book group does is that if it's your option, then you have to research the author and bring a little about the author. And what's interesting about Michael Gran is that he grew up back east in New York City. His mother was actually the CEO of Putnam Publishing, Putnam Penguin Publishing, and his dad was an oncologist. So he grew up obviously well-to-do and went to school back east, and all that. And he had wanted to be a novelist and took journalism courses because he felt like if he wanted to make a living, he should take go into journalism, which he did. He was, when he graduated school, he was a freelance journalist and would submit articles, and get them published. But so the book, Killers of the Flower Moon, intertwines the journalism research that journalists do, but he uses fictional techniques to tell the story. So as you're reading the book, I mean, it's a fast read. It's really, it's almost like you can't believe that this is actual real stuff. It reads like a fiction. So the book is well written, and he spent 5 years researching the book, and what he says, what you hope to do with journalism, you're not going to get justice for the victims. That's not really possible anymore, because it's 100 years ago that this all happened. But at least you can record the victims' voices and kind of set the record straight as to what actually happened. And he said he didn't really feel that he was able to do that with Killers of the Flower Moon, because it was so widespread and pervasive, and so many of the records were lost. It was so it was culturally accepted what happened to the Osage that nobody really cared. And he said it's important for our country to know what really happened, so that we know who we were as a country and who we want to be moving forward.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really good.
And I think, like I said, I think that's good stuff. And I think it'll go a long way for people to know this story.
Right.
For
I
all
agree.
of the reasons.
Well, and that's kind of why Howie ended up getting hooked on it, because he had never heard about this. Somehow he got wind of it. I can't remember exactly anymore how he got wind of it. And so he went out to the Osage Museum in Oklahoma to kind of start, dig into it a little bit more. And they have this panoramic in the museum. Apparently there's a panoramic photograph that goes along the whole length of the wall. And in one section of the photograph, they've cut it out. They've cut a section of it out. And he's like, why did they cut the photograph there? And the woman who was at the museum said, oh, well, that's where this William Hale, who the book is primarily about, that's where he was in the picture. And of course, he was responsible for many of the deaths of the Osage. And so they cut, and it's still very much, I mean, the Osage are very,
they know what, they know it
they
all.
know the story. I mean, they have not forgotten. So
it was their grandparents and stuff that were taken,
I mean, almost whole families. And so what I said to my book group is, I said, well, I can't say that I enjoyed reading this book because it's very disturbing, but I think I'm really glad that I read it. And looking forward to, it's in the theaters now, and it'll be out on Apple TV, I guess, mid-December, right?
And I grew up right next to it. I mean, I grew up in Tulsa County, right next to Osage County, just 20-30 minutes from Pawhuska, where that all takes place. And my fraternity brothers were from Pawhuska and that area. And like, I know, it's,
Did you know this?
it's one of those, no, we did, just like the Tulsa race riots, we knew of the Tulsa race riots, but not really. And most people up until a few years ago knew nothing of the Tulsa race riots. But then this was almost the exact same time period that was happening, just literally next door, and nobody knows about it. So that's why I'm glad that this story is being told in such a big way, because it should be.
And you've actually been to the museum, right?
Yeah, and I was actually on the movie set too. I don't know if you remember that, but Stump and I went there a couple of years ago to the. We were actually on the movie set in Pawhuska, which the whole town they had turned into the movie set, and we were there when they weren't filming at the time, but it was in they were
Well,
on
didn't you tell me that a lot of the original buildings were still there?
they're all still there, yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty. Plus, they had taken the street down to all they had to do was change the storefronts into what, because they were the same buildings that were there 100 years ago, but they just changed what the stores were. The courthouse is still sitting on the hill on top of it, and all they did was dirt the streets and then bring in all these. There was hundreds of old cars. But I mean, they really had to do almost nothing to the town because it's the same buildings. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
Especially that one side of the town, that one big strip. And that's where Reed Drummond's Bed and Breakfast is, right there too. The Pioneer Woman, the cooking show. Yeah, that's where her stuff.
Her family's fortune came from the Osage.
Yeah, her husband's family. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
anyway, so yeah, we got to set a time to go see that. It's 3.5 hours too.
Oh, wow.
3.5 hour movie. Yeah.
Well, I know that I've been looking at the press release, and I know that there's a big thing about a marriage ceremony, but of course there's no marriage ceremony in the book, but I think they took some artistic licenses to show off some of the fabric arts of the Osage. And
well, and he did employ a lot of the Osage. They told us that when we were there. We actually met a couple of Osage people that had been hired as like security to hang out and stuff, and we talked to them for quite a while, and they hired a lot of all the local Osage to be in the film, and work on the sets and all of that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anyway, so Killers of the Flower Moon, if you get a chance, go see it. Or if you don't get a chance to go see it, then it'll be out on Apple TV, and read the book.
Yeah.
The book is always available. So it's also available in audiobook. I actually ended up with both versions, but the book has a lot of photographs. So
who read the oh no, I had the audiobook. Yeah, that's right.
They had three different actors read the book is broken into 3 sections, and they had 3 different actors read each section. So it's interesting. It's well done.
It's been a couple of years now, but I remember.
Yeah. So all right,
everybody.
Have a good week. I don't know. Next week I'm going to be gone, so I think we'll be off next week.
Okay. Well, we'll see you in 2.
All right. See you in 2.
All right. Bye.